Welcome across the Rio Grande Valley and really all over the world. If you're listening, this is openwordnews.com. And today, this is RGVL guy sitting across here from Mr. Luis Saenz, Cameron County DA. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day. Finally got a little bit cold, but we're enjoying it.
You know what, sir? We are. It's got nice and fresh. I know I was talking to my grandmother about that this morning. So thank you so much for being out here with us. We're doing a series talking across with different folks. I know we were interviewing some folks from Colorado as well. We're touching base on the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana here in the state of Texas. Not only for medical use, maybe even for I was going to say habitual use, which is probably what it might be. But how do you feel about that, sir? Has there been any talks about that here in the community?
Probably not. Keep in mind that this is Texas. Texas is still very conservative. So although other parts of the nation may be allowing the smoking and possession of small amounts of marijuana, I don't expect that to happen here in the state of Texas in the very near future. One of my concerns that I have, and I'm not sure you can call it a concern, but one of my responses that I have when people talk about medical marijuana is that there's no such thing. Marijuana is marijuana is marijuana. By people calling it medical, they try and mitigate. They try and make it sound softer and nicer, but marijuana is marijuana, whatever you want to call it. I don't think there's anything such as medical. I suspect that at some point in the future, even the state of Texas may embrace it, but for the near future, I don't see that happening here in the state of Texas.
I like your perspective on that. Actually, that's one of my things. I tell folks, I go, well, if they're going to decriminalize it for medical use, I wish they would just say it's just so people could smoke, and they would come out with the real issue instead of trying to go through different loopholes. Primarily because it's kind of like alcohol. At some point they legalized alcohol. So if the people want it, I'm not really saying it's the best thing. As a matter of fact, some of the medical studies don't actually show that smoking marijuana is very helpful to people, even when they have cancer and stuff like that.
And my concern as DA would be just like you said, that it's kind of like alcohol. And yeah, kind of like alcohol. I mean, you can envision people that are stoned, have been smoking marijuana, or driving. In fact, states that have allowed for this use of marijuana have seen increased accidents and deaths created by people under the influence, not of alcohol, but of marijuana, or maybe of both. So I'm not sure that we're ready for that. I think at this point that it sends the wrong message to the young people that smoking is okay, and it is not okay based on the medical aspect of it. As you say, that just like there are some studies that is helpful, there are some studies say that it is not helpful. And then how are you going to deal with people that smoke and drive? I mean, you're going to have campaigns about smoking and driving and having a designated driver. So it's going to open up a whole new realm of just DWI. As it is, we're having a lot of trouble with DWI and DWI deaths. So now you're going to add into the pot, smoking while intoxicated. It's going to be a big issue.
I like how you said adding to the pot there. No pun intended.
No pun intended.
No pun intended there. But it is interesting. On the road, driving over here myself, I witnessed a lady actually eating and applying makeup, and I could have sworn with the same hand she was texting, which was kind of odd. And I can only imagine her smoking, texting, eating, and applying makeup, and the possibility. We have a pretty high rate of accidents here. Any other comments or concerns that you would like to express to the public at large about the possibilities of legalizing marijuana here in the state of Texas?
Well, I mean, I think that there is something to be said, and don't get me wrong, I am willing to engage in a discussion about it and a debate about it for the simple reason that the war on drugs is not working. I mean, we've had this war on drugs now for, years and years and years, and we have made no progress into it realistically. I mean, on any given day, you have here in the valley, arrest and apprehensions of hundreds, if not tons of marijuana. So the war on drugs not working, so we have to do something else. I'm not saying that legalization is something else, but certainly we have to look at other options, and maybe that is one that we have to discuss.
Talking about the legal structure, obviously you deal hand in hand on a daily basis with how people's lives are affected by the drug trade. And one of the questions that we're bringing out on a Facebook that was very popular was that in the world today, 20% of the world's prisoners are from here in the United States, and we're only 5% of the world's population. So it does speak for something of the amount of people who are in jail, as you said, for drug-related crimes. What is a suggestion that you make for nonviolent criminals who are being placed in the system? Is there another structure that might be more helpful in your experience?
There should be, and I know that Harris County, Houston, just the other day went on record. The DA did go on record, basically telling the police officers that not to arrest anybody with a personal amount of marijuana, and if they had cases in courts that she was representing the state of Texas on, that she was going to be offering probation. So you're right. I mean, and one can still recall the days back in the '60s where people, and mostly Mexican Americans, would end up in prison for being in simple possession of less than a pound or a couple of pounds of marijuana. So incarceration is not the answer. The war on drugs is not working. So what is? That's where the discussion begins. Let's look for other options.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. Actually, one of the most inspirational songs I heard, I think, is an old John Lennon song. It's I think it's 2 for 10 or 10 for 2, and it's about a real life story of a gentleman who unfortunately got, I think he was even a veteran, got 10 years for possessing 2 marijuana joints. And
it's unrealistic, but of course that was in the '60s.
In the '60s,
now,
yeah.
2014. I mean, opinions have changed. I mean, now you have gay marriages and you have other stuff that back then, if you and I would have brought up, they would have thought we were a little weird. So change does come, whether we like it or not. Values change, and that's where we are. But again, that's the not to sound negative about it. That's the beauty of the world, and everybody has an opinion, and we work these things out, and we try and make the world a better place by dealing with the process we have.
Well, sir, thank you so much. Straight shooter, as always. This is RGV El Guy here on Open Word News. Anything else you want to leave us with before we go off into the sunset?
Just thank you and your readers, and keep listening.
Thank you so much, folks. You're listening to OpenWordNews.com. This is RGV El Guy, and that was actually Cameron County DA, Mr. Louis.
I'm fine with that.
Mr. Louis, I'll call you Louis. God be with you, good sir. Thank you so much, folks, and we'll be back.